Hey everybody, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for our devotional. We're in Acts chapter 16. I'm going to be reading verses 25 through 34, and I think you're going to love it. It reads this way. It says, "About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were open, and everyone's bonds were unfastened. And when the jailer woke and saw that the prison doors were open, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself, supposing that the prisoners had escaped. But Paul cried out with a loud voice, 'Do not harm yourself, for we are all here.' And the jailer called for the lights and rushed in, and trembling with fear, he fell down before Paul and Silas. Then he brought them out and said, 'Sirs, what must I do to be saved?' And they said, 'Believe in the Lord Jesus, and you will be saved, you and your household.' And they spoke the word of the Lord to him and to all who were in his house. And he took them the same hour of the night and washed their wounds, and he was baptized at once, he and his whole family. Then he brought them up into his house and set food before them, and he rejoiced along with his entire household that he had believed in God." This is a crazy cool situation, you know? And I find it interesting that we don't hear any explaining, complaining, or blaming by Paul or Silas in this text. I mean, none. These two men don't attempt to explain their way out of their situation, complain about it, or cast blame on anyone, including their accusers or God. And remember, these guys aren't in a good situation. Previously, Paul had been stoned in Lystra, but Jews did that. At this moment, he stands before Roman magistrates who are more vicious and protective of their customs. And so these men are stripped naked, ridiculed, beaten, and thrown deep into prison, all from false testimony. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm in a challenging situation, I tend to give as much human effort as possible. I turn to human ingenuity to navigate my way. This is especially true when I'm suffering an injustice. How about you? Yet, this isn't what Paul and Silas do here. Even until the late hours of the night, they turn only to a supernatural effort in prayer. In prayer, they turn to God, and God shows up, and the earth shakes. Prison doors fly open, shackles drop off, and their freedom is steps away. But God provides way more than they anticipate. They depart the prison with an additional person, a Philippian jailer. Their spiritual belief now becomes his spiritual belief. And a Roman in a faithless city is saved. But not just him, his entire family. And then as I reflected on this moment, I kind of wondered to myself, if I miss out on supernatural provision because I trust too much on my own natural provision. If I get in God's way by trusting in myself, my ingenuity, my righteousness, and my godly defense. The conclusion I came to was this, is that sometimes righteous action is needed, but sometimes the righteous action that is necessary is not activity based on my ingenuity, but righteous action that trusts in God's ingenuity. And these men model how to do that here. The righteous action is prayer, trusting only in God through prayer and asking Him to make the way. Jesus, after all, said He was the way, the truth, and the life. And early believers, by the way, were called believers in the way. So what these men model for us is how to let the Waymaker make the way. And as they do, God does what He does best. He makes the way. So today, stop trying to make your way. Let the Waymaker make a way for you. And then let's watch to see if God does something you could not do anyway. Something supernatural. Thanks for joining me today, fellas. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy it, share it with someone you know. And I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.